Hello, welcome to the On the Hunt podcast. My name is Elijah Winfrey. Joining me today on the program are my two compadres. That is right, I got Nate Rucker joining me. Good evening, Nate. How is it going?
Ayo, copasteto.
Well, I am very glad to hear that. We also have got the #1 Lions fan, that would be Mr. Bobby Bless. Bobby, your agent said I had to nail the intro. Did I do it right?
Yeah, you did good, brother. Make a long story short, this team makes me drink, but in a good way now, though. Good way now.
Hey,
I'm good, brother.
It's always great when you're drinking for pleasure and not misery. But anyway, you might notice that Reggie is not with us this evening. He's okay. He is just at another function, so that is where he is. Obviously, we miss Reggie. We're excited to have Reggie back very, very soon. But again, he is okay. He is just not with us today because he had another family function going on. So he'll be watching us later on and telling us what we did right, and hopefully not telling us anything wrong because we didn't do anything wrong. That's the hope, right? So hey, I'm going to toss it over right now to Bobby Bless. I'm going to pin Bobby on the screen here so he's the only one that you see. And Bobby, we've been trying to give something away, and now we finally can, right?
It is time to give away this Apple Watch. It's become almost like a pet around this damn house. I'm glad to see it go. No, just one I had to clean up after or none of that stuff. But make a long story short, we got a winner. And can I get a drum roll? Elijah, you got a fake drum roll for me, please? Okay. Okay. The Nate Rucker is the actual winner.
Oh, come on.
Apple Watch. That is my dude. What's up, Nate?
He's showing his Apple Watch hand.
Guess what?
Nate, I'm gonna pass it to you. Nate. You give your victory speech however you want to do
it. First of all, I want to get honor to God.
Oh, come on.
Nah, but man, again, man, first of all, man, I want to thank everybody who participated. Hey, in the words of Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. Right. But as everybody know, man, on our show, we love to give. We love to give back. We love to give away. So for the people who might not know, we're going to be doing a live show. So since I am one of the esteemed sexy co-hosts, hey, we're going to recycle this watch. So instead of me getting it, what I'm going to do is doing this live show
during the draft, right? You talking about the draft?
Doing the draft, doing our live draft.
Man, you gonna give it away during the draft show?
Hey, listen, y'all.
Man, you're a good dude, man. See, that's why I love my brothers, man. They share the wealth. You feel me?
Hey,
hey, I gotta speak on it though, man, because you the type. Most people they be like, yeah, everybody go crazy about these Apple Watches. For you to want to give it to somebody else, man, that just show how good of a person you is, brother. Just
man, if people don't realize, man, think about what we've given away just this past year. Mm-hmm. Tickets to Piston games, tickets to Lions games. We had tickets donated to us where a fan was at the 50-yard line. Got to see the whole field. We've, given away Lions posters and checkerboards and flags and license plates.
AirPod Pros.
AirPod Pros. Only thing we didn't give away is a whole iPhone. But
the boy, they're running.
We want to, man. Like I say, man, we might as well just keep it trill like we've been doing it, and keep, man, just giving it back, man. We have people that truly tune in to our show. They love our concepts. They love our prizes. We got other shows still in our content, but they ain't giving away prizes. But it's all good, man. So doing our draft show, our live draft show. The way
Good
this is
stuff,
gonna
Nate.
work, the way it's gonna work, hey, if you can successfully pick who we draft at number 6, your name is going to go on that wheel unless you are the only one who picks it. If we have multiple people that pick the same player, guess what? Elijah going to spin that wheel. Bobby going to do the little Vanna White. And there's going to be that Apple Watch to the person that the wheel selects. So that's how we doing it. Again, give back from the owner hunt. Elijah, I heard you got something going on, dog.
It's an e-merch alert. E-merch alert.
That's right. That's right. And I like that. An e-merch alert. I certainly appreciate the hype, Bobby. So let me show people what I've been working on the movie studio side. And this has been something that's been kind of in the works for the last month. And hopefully my screen is showing for you guys at this point. I believe it is. So
Yep.
This is our studio store, and I'm just going to hide the meeting controls here. That way you can see the full screen. Hopefully that works itself out. There we go. Thank you, computer. But this is the studio store that we got going on so that you guys can buy merchandise for our different movies that we do, our different shows that we have, things like that. And right now we have a little bit of merch on there. We will be consistently growing this, though, so make sure you keep checking back. You can see the site up there at the top of the screen, but if you can't, I will be sure to put it in the description box below here on our video this evening. But this is the store. Let me get into it. Let me show you what's here. So you can search by product, okay? So you can search Billy Badass merchandise. You can search Captain Corpse merchandise. For folks who don't know, Billy Badass was my first film that came out. Captain Corpse is yet to be released. These guys have both read the script for Captain Corpse and they love it. So I think you'll love the actual film itself. Right now it's being edited in Brooklyn. We finished filming last year. It's being edited right now. I don't have a release date for Captain Corpse, but I'm very excited about it. And they're two very different movies. You know, Billy Badass is that mobster movie. Captain Corpse is a sci-fi comedy. So anyway, you can search by merchandise that way, but I'm just going to scroll here. And first up, let's take a look at that Billy Badass Blu-ray. So I have finally got this thing on Blu-ray. It took way too long for it to happen, but it finally did. So you can pick up a Blu-ray of Billy Badass right here from our studio store for $15. Or you can add on a signed poster from everybody that was involved with Billy Badass, and that's $25. So for $25, you get the Blu-ray and the poster, and that's not something that really happens too much in the indie filmmaking situation. But I believe I can show you a photo here of the poster signed, so you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. But these are gigantic posters. I don't have one on me at the moment. They're in the other room. But you know, you kind of get the idea there. They're a good size poster. They're signed. And again, for $25, you can get the poster and the Blu-ray, or for $15, you just get the Blu-ray. But either way, I certainly appreciate it because it helps make future movies happen. So let's go back here. Let's take a look at some of the shirts. Now, these are for Captain Corpse, okay?
Look at that.
Okay.
So
you've got Jonah Corpse. You've got Jonah Corpse, who is the leader of the Captain Corpse crew. He's the main character. And that's what his shirt looks like. And
that's sweet.
We also have shirts for the other crew members. So let me go back here. And this is actually the one that I'm wearing tonight. And whenever I stop sharing my screen, I'll show you. But this is the Beckett shirt. This is actually Bobby's favorite character in the entire movie.
Yeah, he's crazy.
So you can get yourself a Beckett shirt. And that's $20. All these shirts, by the way, are $20. And we will be adding more sizes as we go, but we actually hand make all of these shirts. So that's why we only have a limited amount of sizes at the moment. We also have a Rami shirt on there as well that you can check out.
That's sweet too.
$20 for that shirt. And we will have a Jonesy shirt coming soon. But again, I would encourage you, go check out our studio store because after all, obviously I love the Lions. but I also love making movies, and movies are only possible whenever we make enough money to actually go and make those movies. So check out the studio store. I'll make sure to link it in the description below. And the other thing I wanted to show you, just because I actually have it here with me, and let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen here. So as I was telling you before, I got my Beckett shirt on, as you guys can see, and I also have a Billy Badass Blu-ray. So these are real. This is not something where you're paying money for it, and then then 3 weeks down the road, I'm going to tell you, oh, sorry, we don't have that. They're real. And we only put on the website what we actually have in stock. So again, with those shirts, right now we got large and extra large, but we will be adding more sizes, smaller and larger, as we go. And with the Blu-rays, I'm hoping that we sell out, and I got to make more. So that's my hope. We also have got some very exciting news regarding Billy Badass, but I can't tell you right now. I wish I could. I really do. These guys already know what the big news is, and I think they will agree that it's worthy of saying big news, right, fellas?
Oh yeah.
It is.
I'm keeping it to myself.
It is game-changing news. Game-changing news for the studio. So that'll be coming as soon as I'm allowed to talk about it. But I'll have to leave you wondering what it is for now. But I do want to close out this kind of long commercial by saying thank you for all of your support. It really does mean the world to me. I've been doing, movie making, and I've been a Lions fan for a long time. And I really feel like through this show and through the other things I'm doing, that I've really found my people. So I just want to say thank you for your support. And like I said, I can't wait for you to see Captain Corpse, and I can't wait to tell you the big news about Billy Badass, because it's very exciting. But I'll tell you that at another point in time. Right now, we need to get back to Lions stuff, and we're going to move on to kind of a love-hate topic. I think that's a safe way of putting it, Bobby Bless, because there's some folks out there who love Jared Goff, and there's other folks out there who don't like him. And it seems like this year, there have been a lot of people who have said we need to draft a quarterback, but our administration has said we're not doing that. We're not really looking at that. Not that we're going to completely ignore all the quarterbacks, but we're not necessarily looking to replace Goff because he had almost a career year last season. So this is a love-hate topic because Lions fans love to talk about it, but people in Lions administration, not so much, and Bobby Bless, not at all. Right, Bobby?
No, I'm not a fan at all.
So Bobby is probably going to get up at some point, go get himself, coffee or something while I'm talking about this. And I promise.
No, I'm gonna listen to you, Elijah. I swear, man.
I promise you, I am not coming at this from an angle of we need to replace Jared Goff this year. That's not what I'm trying to say. But
this treason talk. Lord have mercy.
Ooh, not treason.
I mean, that's a tough one. But there's so many people that keep talking about these quarterbacks. So I wanted to figure out a way to talk about this in an angle that maybe hasn't been discussed yet. Okay. So this is my personal way of scouting. And I feel like a lot of other football fans do this too, but this is kind of giving you kind of a look behind the curtain, if you will. So when I'm scouting a player, whether it be for my Lions or whether I'm trying to scout somebody for Georgia Tech, again, as a fan, I like to scout players, as a lot of us do. How I like to do it is I take whoever the conversation is about and I see, do they have any common opponents? And how did they all play against that common opponent? Because if you're just looking at the stat line of an overall season, you can be fooled very easily. So what's inside those stats? So that's what I did for you. Okay. Audience members of On the Hunt. That's what I've already done for you. I already did the homework. Okay. You just got to remember what I'm telling you and then regurgitate it whenever you're talking to these people on Facebook that keep talking about draft a quarterback and everything else. So
not regurgitate.
Yeah, not regurgitate, but you get what I'm saying. 4 different quarterbacks that we'll talk about. Okay. We got Hendon Hooker from Tennessee. We have Anthony Richardson from Florida, Will Levis from Kentucky, and CJ Stroud from Ohio State. All four of those gentlemen played games against the Georgia Bulldogs. Here are their stat lines against Georgia. And I should probably explain why I picked Georgia as that common opponent. I think it should be obvious. They are the most NFL-ready defense in college football last season.
They in the NFC South.
Right. So that's why I picked them, because you're going to see what these guys would do against an NFL type defense. So let's get into it. Hendon Hooker against Georgia. He lost against Georgia. He was 23 out of 33, completed 69% of his passes, threw 0 touchdowns against Georgia, and 1 interception. So that's Hendon Hooker. Remember that. Anthony Richardson. You're hearing a lot about Anthony Richardson, a lot about his upside. When he played against Georgia in that Georgia-Florida rivalry, 18 out of 37, completed 48% of his passes, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. He lost that game. Will Levis out of Kentucky, when he played against Georgia,
It was bad.
20 out of 31, completed 64% of his passes, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then finally, of the 4 guys that we're comparing at the moment, CJ Stroud, Ohio State. When he played against Georgia, he completed 23 out of 34 passes, completed 67% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and if it wasn't for his bum-ass kicker, probably would have beat Georgia.
Calm down, Elijah. Lord have mercy. Calm down.
Right. Why you got to bring the kicker into this? The kicker has nothing to do with it.
I am not even an Ohio State fan. But that was very, very close. Okay. So if you're looking at those guys, you do the math at home. You know, if you had to pick between those 4 guys, who would you pick? So let's start off with that basic question first. Of these 4 guys with the stats I just read you, Bobby, who would be your pick if you had to pick a quarterback?
CJ Stroud. I actually like it. Just when how he played against Georgia was his feather in the cap.
Mm-hmm.
In his cap, because he looked like a real pro. Like I was joking just earlier when you was talking, Big Dog. Man, Georgia defense might be in the NFC South and we don't even know it. That's a real pro defense. He used his chess piece because they got the Harrison Jr. kid. He's pretty good. He gonna be playing on Sunday really, really soon. Also,
He's damn good.
Yeah. So he had the best weapon against him. To me personally, he had his talent. I don't know. I just feel like the talent Ohio State guy has run neck and neck with Georgia, so that made it more of a fair fight. No, against Tennessee, I don't think they had nowhere near as much talent against Georgia, so it's kind of the weakness. So I really don't want to hold nothing against them, but that was CJ Stroud, like what they say, coming out party. Letting him see how he do his thing. He was spinning that thing. He was efficient, and the main thing, under all that the rest, he still had that high completion percentage, and he still had points in the paint. I'm talking about touchdowns, and he ain't even throw it to the other team. So that's what you're looking for when you want a guy to represent you every Sunday. So I'm gonna go over CJ Stroud. So
Nate,
how about you, Nate?
4 guys with those stats I read you, who would you say?
I'm still taking Hendon Hooker.
Okay.
Well,
and why would that be?
Well, for the simple fact that he didn't turn the ball over with the lack of weapons. So you're talking about a guy who, when you compare Tennessee to Ohio State has a top 5 left tackle. They have a top 10 guard. They had the number 1 wide receiver that's coming out next year. They had the number 1 slot wide receiver that's coming out this year. So I think, CJ Stroud had more weapons to utilize than the rest of them. So yeah, his percentage was high. But when I look at what Hendon Hooker had to endure, even though he did not get his touchdowns, he also did not turn the ball over.
Yeah,
So when
that's a lot.
you're looking at a gap in talent, you want to make sure that your quarterback didn't do anything to beat you, to beat himself. Like, no, he didn't secure the win, but he did not fumble. He did not turn it over. He did not beat himself. Oh, Hooker. So wait a minute. So Hooker had the one interception, and I think Richardson had one, right?
So Richardson had one touchdown, no picks, and
Okay.
Hooker had 0 touchdown, one pick.
Okay, my bad. Wrong direction. but I still like Hendon Hooker's upside because what Georgia did. Georgia, I remember now, they put Kelly Ringo on Jalen Hyatt.
Mm-hmm.
They complete for people who don't like, they say Kelly Ringo isn't what it is. He completely erased their number one wide receiver in man-on-man coverage. No help, no safety help. It was one-on-one, mano-a-mano, and he completely took the guy away. So, I mean, even with that, I just think that Hendon Hooker has everything that you need. This isn't a knock on Stroud. It could be the fact that he's playing for the window lickers. So I'm not taking the OSU. That's against my maize and blue blood. Sorry.
Hey, I ain't mad at you, Nate.
No worries, my friend. So,
listen, that is the one thing I can't do being in Detroit and being on a hush is taking a Ohio State. I don't care how good he is.
So here's what I'll say about it. Because when I was looking at those stats, you know, there was a lot going through my head as I was looking through those stats. Because I'm looking at it going, okay, it's one game. It's still one game. Granted, it's an important game, but it's still one game. How much weight do I want to put in this? So with Hendon Hooker, I put a little bit of weight into it, but not a lot because he also torched Alabama.
He
So
destroyed
if you're looking
Alabama.
at it, he's got one really good game film against a top team and one not so great game film. Now, he didn't go out there and throw 4 interceptions and fumble the ball 8 times, but still, it was his moment and he didn't arrive. So that's something with Hendon Hooker. But real quick, Nate, I don't want you to forget what you're going to say. So go ahead.
Also, one of the biggest things is that Tennessee line was so bad. You know, Hendon Hooker was sacked 7 times.
Yeah.
I forgot.
No.
You know,
I bet you he didn't forget.
7 times, dude.
Man, so, that Hooker had a rough night.
Look, that's what I'm saying. So he was sacked 7 times, dude. Like, that's ridiculous. So he really, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm still rolling with the hook, man.
So like I said, one really good game film against Alabama, one not so great game film against Georgia. You also got to factor in, and I hate doing this because a lot of people, you know, say this is an excuse, but those people have never tried to throw a football in bad weather before. It was not great weather that night when they played Georgia either. So there's that too. No. But let's go down the list. So Anthony Richardson, this is the one that made the hype train for Anthony Richardson that was going down the tracks for me come to a screeching halt. Because when he played against Georgia, and I would encourage people, there's literally a video on YouTube, okay? Pause this video right now, go watch that video, and then come back and tell me I'm wrong, okay? And then I'm going to tell you that you're lying. Because when you go watch that video, it is a video of every pass attempt he had against Georgia. Anthony Richardson was in distress, okay? He was in distress.
Oh yeah, he was definitely uncomfortable.
So my concern with that is, okay, and this is where I'm kind of looking at it from the Lions' perspective, and I'm kind of looking at it from the other teams in the top 10. If you're drafting in the top 10 and you did not trade your way into the top 10, chances are your offensive line is not very good. So if you want to see what Anthony Richardson would look like with a not very good offensive line, go watch that game film against Georgia. Because until you get him weapons around him, he's going to struggle. And that kind of leads me into my third guy, Will Levis, okay? And I'm going to loop Will Levis and Anthony Richardson together, and this is where Nate might come through the screen at me. So Anthony Richardson and Will Levis, all right? Will Levis has been talked about as he's Josh Allen. That's his ceiling, and his floor is Carson Wentz. First of all, I hate when they do that. I hate when they do ceiling and floor compared to other players because they're not robots. They're human beings. What I mean by that is somebody might have the talent to be the next Josh Allen, but they might not have the work ethic of a Josh Allen. And that needs to be considered whenever they're doing the high floor, low floor crap. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. I'm going to throw that completely out. What I will say is, as a junior quarterback at Kentucky, Will Levis was pretty good. But then his senior season arrived, and it seems like his offensive line was not there. Because he got sacked, I think it was like 5 or 7 times against Miami of Ohio. That's different than the Miami of Ohio. Like, that's when you knew shit was sideways, when Miami of Ohio is doing that to you. Miami of Florida, you can make an excuse and say it's all about the U, all right? But Miami of Ohio, come on. So
why your voice gets so high?
That to me was a big indicator of how that season was going to go. But when I'm looking at Anthony Richardson, when I'm looking at Will Levis, again, looking at him not just as a Lions fan, but also looking at it with the other teams that are up in the top 5. My concern is nobody really gave a shit about either one of these guys until right around the combine. And that to me is a big red flag, because last season you weren't really hearing people talk about Anthony Richardson, top 5 pick, Will Levis, top 5 pick. And that's why in our last episode, I said hype makes you do stupid things.
Yeah.
Because you start believing in that and you say, oh my goodness, look at his combine, look at his combine. And here's what's going to end up happening. Mark my words again, because I said it last episode. I mean it again this episode.
Oh my God, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Elijah.
Yeah, because when I say it, it comes true, right, Bobby?
Yeah, don't do it, dude. Don't do it.
Somebody out there who has no business picking a quarterback in the top 5 because their team sucks and their management sucks is going to pick either Richardson or Levis, and they're going to be expected to come in as the savior of the franchise, and they're going to fail because of it. And it's not going to be their fault. It's going to be the fault of the organization drafting them. And that's because of all that hype. Because to me, Richardson is a 2nd-round pick. Levis is a 2nd-round pick. I see the upside, but they need to sit behind somebody and get comfortable in an NFL system. That's my personal opinion. I don't think Anthony Richardson is that go in there week 1 guy. And people comparing him to Cam Newton scares me, because to me, the greatest season by a college quarterback ever in my lifetime was Cam Newton at Auburn. And you're comparing him to that? Because I didn't see that. Like, I see some similarities, and Nate will talk about this more in a second. But I don't see Cam Newton right out the gate. I see him needing to develop into that if you're going to have him be that. But Anthony Richardson, again, the hype train for me came to a complete stop when I looked at what he did against Georgia. That concerns me. Levis, same deal. Stroud, that's where I kind of went, okay, maybe he is an NFL quarterback when I saw what he did against Georgia. So let me pass it over here because I've been talking for a long time. Nate, Anthony Richardson, do you agree with my take on him? And what would you say about him going top 10? Do you think he'll be a bust because he goes to a shitty organization, or do you think he'll be just fine?
My bold take was was Anthony Richardson being the first quarterback off the board.
Nah, I don't know.
I mean, well, again, like, everybody likes Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is 5'10". He's not even 5'11" and a half. He's 5'10". His hands are under 10 inches. Well, I think his hands were I want to say right up under 10. So, being a quarterback, one of the things that they love is quarterbacks with size and big hands, because when they get hit
They can
from the
hold on
blind,
to the football.
they do not drop the football.
Mhm.
You know, and then you have to look at when you're talking about Bryce Young, you're going to have to talk about what team does he go to, because he's 5'10". The average offensive lineman is 6'5", 6'6". You're talking about the defensive lineman. You're talking about batted balls. You know, one of the things you look at is Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray runs 80% shotgun so that he can look over the top of the defense. So, I mean, it's one of those things, but as far as Anthony Richardson and Cam Newton, I can see the playing type. Like they have the same skill set. Like Cam Newton was a very inaccurate dude, but he had a huge arm. Like that was one of the most underrated things about Cam Newton was his arm strength. But everybody, even when he had his MVP season, you know, he was a big guy. He could run. You can run the read option. At one point, he was a smart quarterback. I don't know which hit made him stupid, but it might have been when he started growing his hair out. I don't know. Guys grow their hair out, they get a little loosey goosey up there. I don't know.
Stupid,
but you know, I mean that. But when you talk about Will Levis, big arm, mobility. But like you say, I hate comparing quarterback, or I hate truly comparing players, because if that guy doesn't live up to that, or truth not live up to it, I think you're putting them behind that bean, that red bean on the AR. You already got them in your sight hairs, because you're giving them something to try to live up to that they haven't even stepped on the field for. Josh Allen has been, you know, an MVP candidate. Cam Newton is a former MVP. We know what he did at Auburn with his national titles. So doing stuff like that, man, you put guys behind the 8 ball, and they ain't even touched the field yet. So I the comparison thing, I'm staying away from that. Bobby, you can have that one.
I don't know much about either of them. You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna sit up here and say yay or nay. But from what I seen from Florida, it wasn't nothing impressive. So it's gonna take somebody that know, you know, offensive mind person, because you know how they always say you got to build the offense around the guy kind of thing. So and then with Elijah, how you said how his line looked against Miami of Ohio, it ain't no real way I can judge Will Levis. You know what I mean? Unless he had a efficient line and stuff. So it'd be all a gamble for them guys now. C.J. Stroud, what's the other kid? Bryce Young.
Yep.
Hendon Hooker. I've seen them perform at the top of college football pretty well. So I'm more willing to risk my franchise changing pick on one of them guys over the project. But even though Hendon Hooker knee is out, I would definitely not take him in the first round at all. So it's like I said, when it all come back to how I don't want no quarterback anyway, so I wouldn't be no good judge of it.
So one thing about Hendon Hooker that I meant to put in this and I forgot to. So when you're watching film, obviously people who have played the game, people who have coached the game, they look at different things. And I missed whenever I was looking at the film of Hendon Hooker, and it was actually a Kurt Warner video where he's been breaking down all the different quarterbacks. And I know some folks don't like Kurt Warner, but I think he has a point on this. When he was talking about Hendon Hooker, he was showing whenever they line up in shotgun formation for Tennessee last season, and they would spread the wide receivers out, 2 on each side. And I'm giving you this description so you know what to look for, and you can make your own opinion on this. But one of the things he noted was when they did that, when they went 2 by 2 on either side, 2 wide receivers were not given a route at all. So they would just jog up the field. And the other two receivers on the other side would actually run a route. So the point that Kurt Warner was making was not about comprehension, but it was about when you've never been asked to do something and then you are asked to do it, how is that transition? So it's not about, is Hendon Hooker smart? Listen, Tennessee's a great university. He wouldn't be there if he wasn't smart. All right. So take that argument, throw it away. Okay. The argument here is he wasn't asked to do this before. Can he do it in the NFL? And the can he do it part is, if all four wide receivers have a route, can he read the defense and go through the progressions like he needs to? Because at Tennessee, so often, at least according to this footage, two wide receivers were given a route. The other two guys were kind of out there as decoys. And that's kind of where Nate and I were talking pre-show regarding, just how some of these college offenses are set up. Because I was telling Nate, I don't remember seeing too many two-player decoy situations. And I know whenever I was coaching, I didn't feel like I could afford to have anybody out there be a decoy. I need everybody trying to do something. So having two decoys at wide receiver, A, do you ever see the Lions doing something like that? And B, do you see where that might be something that Hendon Hooker needs to learn how to do in the NFL? Or do you not think it's a big deal?
Me, I don't think, but again, we go back to the same way we started this segment off, was who he was playing when they did this against.
Right.
It was against Georgia. So, he sacked 6 times, 7 times. You took away his number one wide receiver, which was actually one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver in the SEC, and Jalen Hyatt. So it's like, dude, we getting hit, you getting constant pressure. Was this truly just done just to spread these guys out so that, hey, the pressure is coming. So we can't go max protection the entire game. We can't have 4 guys going on the route, because anything, especially you being a former quarterback and a coach, is that, when you go 4 or 5 wide, the ball's got to come out quick.
Yeah.
It has to come out quick. When you see 5 wide, you instantly know it's a quick drop. 1, 2, 3, bam. Ball is supposed to be gone. So, knowing that, and the way Georgia was playing as we went through that play, it's still, it's kind of herky-jerky. But when you look at the way he played, one of his best games was against, hey, me and Bobby said it all, for the past 15 years, the most NFL-ready college team has been Alabama.
Right.
So, his his 2 best games was against Mizzou and against Alabama. So, every quarterback's going to have a bad game where he throws 4 picks, 0 touchdowns, gets yanked. It's all about how you come back that very next game and how you still are able to produce. So, Me, I'm not really worried about it. Like I said, it was more so, I could tell it was more sort of a scheme thing. It was just it was just crazy to see, more than anything, to see 2 guys on the left just jog the field and then just come to a stop.
Right.
So it was more so crazy to see. But, as me and Bobby talked about, there's always been a stereotype when you were a certain type of quarterback.
Right.
Not just playing style or what type of offense you ran or how strong your arm is. The first thing they see, unfortunately, as an African American, hey, wait a minute. He's not a quarterback, he's a wide receiver. He's not a quarterback, he's a running back.
Elijah we was telling Elijah, we know that ain't what he think. We already was telling him that. So
Right. So for everybody out there, we know this isn't what Elijah thinks, but this is just one of the things. And the first thing they ask when they have an African American quarterback, the very first thing they say is, Can he read a defense? He could go through the Wonderlic test and score 40 out of 40, and they'll still say, well, is he smart? But Peyton Manning can go 35 out of 40. Oh man, he's brilliant.
Yeah.
Wait, but I went 40 for 40.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of the things, man. You know, a lot of things, you know, that's why I love our show, and I love how we do our own research.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not swayed. Yeah, Kurt Warner. Okay, yes, you came out of nowhere. You are a Hall of Fame guy, but let's not act like you lit up the draft boards and you lit up college. Remember, you went undrafted to get my Stephen A on. You
Right.
were undrafted, Kurt. You were
Yeah.
you were asking paper or plastic.
Right.
Ooh, that's what my dad be saying. He can't stand Kurt Warner. But but just real short and sweet, Elijah. What my little take on there? You said he's smart, right?
I think he
Hendon
is.
Hooker's
I
smart,
mean,
right?
I
Well,
couldn't
he'll
get
be
into
able to learn.
Tennessee.
He'll be able to learn what any coordinator put on the chalkboard. So I'm okay with it. No problem for me.
And I think he's in a perfect situation if he comes to Detroit. That's why I've been on the Hendon Hooker train. And unfortunately, when he hurt his knee, it's horrible for him, but it's great for us because he'll be there in that second round because of that. And again, I hate the injury for the guy. I really do. But it allows us to have a chance to draft him because I don't think sound like a fucking
I beat it. That's all, folks.
Anyway, so if he doesn't get hurt last year, I'm pretty sure he wins the Heisman.
Yeah,
because he was on track. He was the front runner before he got hurt. So anyway,
he was balling.
Before we change, it's one thing one thing I can say, and this is, you know, we had that talk about our former quarterback, number 9. We know this. Now, my uncle just came in, and y'all just gonna have to listen because he's gonna tell you the one thing that Matthew Stafford could not do. What could Matthew Stafford do? Read defense.
Oh man, I'm telling you, if you say that in our football group, they'll be Googling my house, man. Trying to see where the hell I live. They hate when you say that.
So hey, you know what I mean? And Matthew Stafford, he didn't even have one of the best Wonderlicks. So and he was the generational arm throwing talent. He could throw a hell of a deep ball, but as we know, he's number 2 in the NFL in pick sixes in just 12 years. So yeah, believe you me, Hendon Hooker can top that.
So real quick before we move on, I do want to talk about Bryce Young because I have not really talked about him too much. So let me just say my piece on Bryce Young. I am so irritated when I hear people talk about his height and his hand size, because for me, I would like to believe that we have learned our lesson on saying that short guys cannot be quarterbacks in the NFL based off of all the short quarterbacks who have done amazing things in the NFL. Obviously, most notably, obviously for our younger audience, they're going to say Kyler Murray. Okay.
He ain't done shit in the league.
For me, I'm going to say Drew Brees. And a lot of people forget that Drew Brees is like 5'10", 5'11". He's not a tall guy. So for me, I look at it and I say, if height is the only issue, there are ways to work around that. Now, him getting hit by gigantic men, that's obviously on the organization.
That's the only thing I'm worried about.
Hey, that did not sound good at all.
You know what I mean?
It did not sound.
But I'm just saying,
my God.
It's partly the organization's job to protect him. And when I'm looking at Bryce Young, it's also frustrating to me. And this is where I think maybe some of the fellows here will disagree with me. But it is frustrating to me to hear them compare Bryce Young to Kyler Murray, because it makes me feel
like
they didn't watch a single lick of what Bryce Young did last year, because Bryce Young is hardwired to do whatever he needs to do to extend the play to throw the ball.
For sure.
Kyler Murray is not hardwired to do that. If he doesn't see something, he is going to run around like a 5-year-old, with his mom's cell phone trying to run away from her. You look at how he runs, and you'll get what I'm saying. It's like when you tell your kids, you better get over here, and they start running around the house. But anyway, Kyler Murray is not the same guy. He's not the same guy as Bryce Young, but they're like, oh, clearly Kyler Murray is the comparison. And I'm like, I don't know.
But mine too.
Kyler Murray legs is as thick as tree trunks. They is not the same. Oh my
No,
God.
but the reason why I use it is not just the height, but I look at the type of offense and the way that they and like with Bama had him under center a little bit, but when you seen Bryce Young, they didn't have him up under the center, where it was 50-50. They ran a lot of shotgun with him as well. So that's why and that's why I had to bring that up and then he's got one of the top offensive lines in college. So so you look at that. He didn't have to deal with the batted balls. He was able to scramble and his wide receivers were able to make plays.
Yeah.
But again, what happens when the talent is equal? Right. One of the things that has always been good about Drew Brees, Drew Brees has always been a pocket passer and a cerebral quarterback since his days of Purdue.
And deadly accurate. Oh my God, his accuracy is.
It didn't matter. Drew Brees could have had Deion Branch like Brady, or you could have gave him Randy Moss. It didn't matter who you put as a wide receiver. Drew Brees makes his guys better.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Do we know that Bryce Young has that type of talent to make the other guys better? Because, hey, Drew Brees wasn't the biggest. He never had the best offensive line. But what he did have is one of the quickest releases in the NFL. He's never been out of the top 5 in release quickness. Brady was number 1. Drew Brees has consistently been throughout his career between 2 and 4 when it comes to how quick his release is. So
Brees just throw the ball in the bucket for fun.
Yeah, so we don't have to look at the hand size and the height, but you also have to look at how precise Drew Brees is, how he commands and he puts guys where they supposed to be.
And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if Bryce Young can do that. I mean, obviously he played at a star-studded Alabama team. My point, I guess, is I wish they would look at him more as a quarterback and not just say, well, he's like Kyler Murray, because then people automatically say, well, then he's going to get hit a bunch of times because he's going to run the ball so much. And it's like, okay.
Oh, no, he definitely slides. And for Kyler Murray to be a baseball player, he sucks at sliding. That's why he's got so many fumbles.
If Bryce Young falls in this draft, I think it's going to be because of the fact that the hype for Will Levis, the hype for Anthony Richardson won out. And again, hype makes you do stupid things. And I honestly, I worry. And normally I don't give a shit that much about like individual players that I don't personally know. But honest to goodness, I worry about Will Levis and Anthony Richardson because they are going to go to a team that has no business drafting them. I mean, they're saying Will Levis might go to the Raiders even after the Jimmy G trade. Like that's
Jimmy G. Well, you look at it, Jimmy G sucks, and the Bears traded out of the top 5, so they're about the only other stupid team that would draft a quarterback, and they don't need one.
Carolina and the Colts.
Well, Carolina needs a quarterback.
And Carolina, I can see them saying Anthony Richardson, even though.
The Colts, like you say,
I see it ending bad.
Because when you look at both of those teams, they're both run heavy. The Colts have Jonathan Taylor at running back. The Panthers have Foreman and Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, no, Foreman went somewhere else.
Hubbard left. So Foreman left. But
did he go to the Bears?
I'm not sure.
No,
I've been keeping up with them.
I gotta look. I gotta relook. Yeah. But either way, though, they're both run heavy. They don't have. What you got, Bobby? My
Oh,
bad. Go ahead.
yeah. What I wanted to say about Bryce Young that people got to understand is even though he's short, he is deadly accurate too, and he has pocket presence. Out of all the quarterbacks that's in the draft, he has the proper mechanics. Two hands on the ball. He don't get himself sacked. You know how we used to always say that shit all the time. And like on the downs where they on the money downs because it's been a couple times, especially in that Texas game when they was down. You feel me?
Mhm.
He hung in there and waited for that, even though wasn't nobody open, he still hung in there and waited for that man to get open. So I think with his mechanics will
Hey,
help him
awful.
overcompensate for his height and size issues because he do has
Bobby,
out of all the quarterbacks in the draft,
Awful.
he has the absolute best mechanics.
Bobby, you are beautiful, and you just made my exact point for me. So I appreciate it. And like I said, Bryce Young is hardwired to throw. Everything could be going to shit around him, and he's like, I'm still going to try to throw this ball
Yeah,
before I
yeah.
take off.
He two hands on the ball, head up, downfield. He ain't paying attention to the rush. He not. So
Let's
Right.
put a bow
But
on this
I think that
quarterback.
that could be the confidence in that Alabama line. I don't think
yeah, once he get hit a little bit,
he
he
you
get
see
hit a
what I'm
little bit.
saying? He ain't had these defensive ends of Daniil Hunter and Nick and
Yeah,
Joey Bosa and
Right,
yeah,
right.
Miles
yeah,
Garrett, Casey Hayward, Aiden Hutchinson. He ain't had these
yeah,
type of guys running up his ass.
And that's
yeah.
why I wish Bryce Young would have had the opportunity last year to play Georgia. Because as we put a bow on this topic, the four quarterbacks I compared for you at the beginning, if you remember that like 45 minutes ago, those four quarterbacks all played Georgia. So you had a common opponent to look at them against. Bryce
Right.
Young didn't get that opportunity because LSU won that side of the conference and went and played Georgia, and that was a shit show. So, but I wish Bryce Young would have had that opportunity to play against Georgia last year, because then we could have included him more in this conversation. But let's put a bow on the quarterback topic by asking this question to our audience. Those are the main guys, okay, that everybody's talking about, those five guys. Who do you want? And let's be realistic about this, because it's very clear at this point from Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell both saying the same thing. They're not drafting a quarterback number 6. And if they do, I'll be shocked because it goes against everything they've been saying for the last 6 months. But
Hey,
second round,
he's
who do you
smart.
want? I'm just saying, second round, who do you want? Me, I'm picking Hendon Hooker. Guys, who would you pick in the second round to back up Jared Goff if you had to?
If I had to, I'm taking Hooker.
Okay, Bobby.
Yeah, probably Hendon Hooker for sure because like he got to heal up anyway, and we did good with Jameson Williams, so we gotta believe in the system.
All right, so folks, leave your comment and let us know who you would pick. Or if you vehemently believe, and I don't know why you would if you're actually listening to the Lions, but if you vehemently believe that we're going to pick a guy at number 6 or a guy at 18, then tell us, I guess, why you believe that and why you're going to be so disappointed on draft night. We'll be here for you, but you're going to be disappointed.
Oh, yeah. Keep them ready for that live show, y'all.
So, hey, let's move over to Bobby Bless. He's got a merch alert, and he's been waiting patiently. Bobby, you're the only one on the screen, so take it away.
Yeah, man. When it comes to the new season, the NFL, my new season start when them draft hats come out. It symbolizes a new year. Be honest, guys, optimism. I can't avoid saying that. But I love me some hats, and when the draft hats come out, that's be the first thing I look for is when they come out, so I can see what it look like, because I'm gonna get me one. I love these hats. So Elijah, I'm gonna share my screen, brother, and show you what more than just the Lions draft hat, because I'm pretty sure we got a couple viewers that like other teams. So we're gonna show since I already got the Lions draft hat, so I figure we show the other ones.
Okay.
So I'm clicking on it now. Here we go. All righty, it's coming. Should be.
See what the weather look like.
It's getting
You
there.
got anything?
Thinking about
It's
it.
getting there.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it was moving slow as hell. But anyway, it is the different draft hats. As you know, there are two. Believe it or not, Elijah, you probably didn't know. There are two different types of draft hats. There's the light ones, as you see right there, and some of them, like that Raiders, are even dark. Even the Lions have a dark one, but which would be our team color, Honolulu blue. But the thing is that the white ones are going to be the actual caps that the draftees put on. So
Okay.
those are officially they're both draft hats, but the white ones are the ones that the new guys are going to be putting on their head. So that's one thing I want a lot of people to know because they'll see different hats. One say draft, one don't say draft, but the one that the guy's going to be putting on their head is going to be the white, the light colored ones. So as I'm still scrolling through here, I see a couple that look good, but I won't say it because I don't have nothing positive to say about nobody's team but mine. But yeah, it's a couple of them that just look pure nice. I think they got a good concept going on this one. Like to be honest, that Kansas City Chief one look good. Um, let's see, the Panther one looked pretty good. Just looking through it, there go ours right there. It took a while to get there, but we got there, right, Elijah? So
Mhm.
that's the Lions. This is the Lions one. I'm gonna click on it a little bit just to show it. It's a
I like
snapback, of course. A lot of you guys with these different funny shaped heads like me, uh, need that snapback. So I'm gonna go down just a little bit more just to show what we working with, and that it actually looks like that, man. Um, this is actually the fitted one, but so they do have snapback ones, but to be honest with you, the snapback ones will be the one that the players are wearing on draft night because they're not trying to match up everybody hat. So
it.
uh this look pretty decent, but the good thing is I actually got this year's Lions hat and last year's draft hat too. And I thought we was gonna do some little comparison if you didn't mind, Elijah. What you
Hey,
think, brother?
that works for me, my friend.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, pushing that button. See, Elijah taught me that. Just to let y'all know. But anyway, okay, here's the last hat. This is last year's hat. This is the hat that we had on Aiden Hutchinson's head right here. And this is this year's draft hat that I just brought a couple days ago. I brought it from Lids, of course. I'm the one that fund Lids personally. But make a long story short, this is last year's hat, this year's hat. So, hey guys, in the comment section, tell me which one you like the best. Did you like last year's? Or do you like this year's? Me personally, I'm a fan of this year, but as long as it don't say one pride or have I seen one year they had a hat with an L on there. I don't like none of that stuff. So as long as it don't say one pride or nothing, it don't take much to please me when it comes to these hats. But I'm a fan of this one. It got the little snapback on there, all that good stuff on there. But I haven't really wore it yet. But this is fuck that. This is yeah. So we got this year's and we got last year's. Like I said, tell me which one you like. Which one you think better? Do you think they did a good job on the new design, or should they stick with the old? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But like I was telling you guys earlier, I got it for Liz. I love this hat thing because this is what I do, man. I can't even really not be excited. But anyway, when I went to get the draft hat, they said, hey, Bobby, your Lids membership, your premium membership is coming to a close in a couple days. You want to renew it? I said, yes, sir. I sure do. So I went on ahead and renewed it. So when I brought the this last draft hat, I end up getting my totals for the whole year. And guys, since the Lions had a very good season, Bobby spent a lot of money on these damn hats. So so come to find out, the grand total for Bobby this year was $990. So I was $10 away from $1,000. It had to be one of the days I was being a cheap bastard. I could have went on ahead and spent $10 more somewhere down the line, right? So I could have spent a whole dollar or more on each hat, right? So um, I'm gonna say 1,000, even though it's 990. But I spend a lot of money. I want to thank Dan Campbell for this, for a lot of these wins, because like I ain't spent this much money in a long time, Elijah. But being that I renewed my it actually say premium access pass, it keeps me in that premium definition. So for instance, this hat it was on it was for $49, but with my premium pass discount, yeah, okay. For my premium pass discount, it turned a $49 hat into a $38 hat. So I got $10 off of it. So I guess for this whole year, for the new year starting, I'll be getting almost $10 off of every hat. That makes it even worthwhile. I done brought so many hats this year. I'm just kind of excited to see where this is gonna go, man. I'm kind of hats is what I do. But of course, uh, my favorite thing about this show is hanging out with my guys, and my favorite segment in the show is Nate inside the den, brother. I can talk about hats all day, but I got to share the spotlight, man. Nate, I know you got something good going, brother.
So Nate, we'll have you unmute, my friend, and then we'll get right into your inside the den. I'm gonna pin Nate on the screen. Nate will bring us on as he wants to. Nate, take it away.
Nate.
Hit it, bang, bang. So on this segment inside the den, y'all, as y'all know, right now, the national spotlight has been going crazy over our team. Not just because of the free agents, but because of the way that we ended the year. We don't have our numbers guy here, so I'm gonna throw a little, little salt bay out there. First of all, anybody remember what Vegas had us as with the wins and losses last year?
Oh, I do, because you told us in the meeting.
All right, we're playing along, Bobby. What they had us?
I think it was, what'd you say, 5 or 6 or something like that, wasn't it?
Nope, 4.5.
Oh,
so
damn.
Our Vegas odds last year for win and losses was 4.5. As everybody know, we ended up with 9. If you was a guy like me, I bet 8, put $20 on it, I won $100. Oh, you ain't betting 8 this year though. Right now, the over and under on the Vegas odds is 9.5. So as we know, that 9, you don't really get points for a half. So if you do not,
you gotta win 10.
You have to win 10 games. So
yeah,
$1, so $100 gets you 110. That's all you're getting. Okay, so you got to really bet because, like, hey, right now we're the odds favorites.
Actually, they got them set to win the division.
Yeah. Right now, the Lions are favored to win the division. Now, the power rankings. We've got to put it down for the big fella. Big cuz ain't here. So ESPN
numbers,
right now has us at number 9. The PFF has us at 13. And Sports Illustrated has us at number 10. So these are preseason power rankings after the season has ended and the additions we've made during free agency. So on top of that, man, now we've got some new numbers, y'all. We got some new players that we riding high, so.
Secondary a little bit.
Oh man, that secondary gonna be killer. I'm
Tell that's all they've been talking about. That's all they've been talking about.
Oh, he hear you. Hey, people, let me introduce everybody in the background. That's my Uncle Willie. We just call him Unc. He is universally known. The only thing you gotta do is say Unc. Look at So look at Elijah just shakes his head like, oh my God. So with these new guys, man, these guys that have helped to drive, the rise and the expectation of this team. Everybody's got numbers. So Chauncey Gardner Jr. will be wearing that famous Charles Woodson number 2. Again, that's from the Maize and Blue, not the Lions. Just that 2. We all know what that jersey means. If you're a Michigan guy, I mean, Bobby's Ohio. He's in South Canada. So we're not even worried about he's a Georgia Tech guy.
Come on.
So Chauncey Gardner Jr. gets jersey number 2. Emmanuel Mosley will have jersey number 4. David Montgomery will wear number 5. Cam Sutton will wear number 6. And Graham Glasgow will wear number 60. Who?
Hey, DeAndre Swift, like, I don't give a damn. I'm keeping 32. Fuck
Hey,
you,
look, I
Montgomery.
told you. Hey, I was like, hey, who gonna switch? DeAndre said, hey, this me. This is me all day.
I ain't giving Montgomery my number.
But remember, DeAndre, that contract up at the end of the year, dog, you better produce. Oh, it's gonna be like, get out of here. Sorry, no.
He ain't gonna make it.
What the hell was that? Oh,
so we got Graham Glasgow, man, who we actually brought back, number 60, who it was crazy. One of the comments he said was, it was bittersweet leaving the team who drafted him. So he's a Michigan guy, came back to Detroit. You know, hey, he loves the team, so he's back. So now let's jump to you guys. So we heard these power rankings. You know, we got what the media thinking. If you're ranking our team, where would you put them?
I
1 through 30.
Okay, I got us at least top 10. I think we're the 3rd best team in the NFC.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give us about like a 7, 8, somewhere around there type thing, because AFC is where all the dogs at. So I'm gonna give us. I don't think we top 5 though, but I think we the 3rd best team in the NFC. So and with that secondary, like you know, I be at work. People first thing say, "Hey man, the Lions are already better on defense right now without even the draft." So I'm glad we got guys that I actually heard of before, and you know what I mean. So that's a blessing in its own, and that just goes to the change of times, huh, Nate? You know, we ain't got to convince dudes to go here. We can actually get the good guys to come here now. So that's a blessing, because there's been a many. Even shout out to my boy Darnell. Remember, he used to call my boy Bargain Bob. Remember my boy Bargain Bob?
Bargain Bob, man. Bargain Bob was by far the worst, man. Like,
Bargain Bob.
But you know what? A crazy thing. This is, and Elijah is the thinker of the group. If people don't know, Elijah is the thinker. Elijah he's the outside of the box thinker.
That's why we don't let him make predictions. No.
Right. Because somehow his shit comes true. Like if the national media, if people would watch our show, nobody predicted this meteoric rise of Geno Smith but Elijah goddamn Winfrey. And that's against us. This is where it all started. Nobody seen that.
That's why I'm saying earlier, don't say it, Elijah. Don't say, you got to stop him, man.
Right. So if people don't know, you know, hey, we get some people that steal our content. We're going to keep that on the hush. We see this, we just pass it along. But
come here to see it first. That's all.
Man, we just sit back and we look, we're like, oh, we talked about this guy already 5 months ago. So, but Elijah, man, is our out of box thinker, man, and he comes up with the craziest things in the doggone world. We sit in our production meeting and we're like, Elijah, stop. No, listen, you guys are going to go. No, Elijah, stop. Just stop. Just leave it alone. So, so we were at PFF. I got you guys. Elijah, where do you have them at?
Oh boy. All right. So for me, I'm gonna say 18 out of 32.
Damn, man, Elijah, no, 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 no. Oh, hey, I will walk away. Fuck
Listen,
this. No,
I can
go ahead,
explain
brother.
it.
Go.
I can explain it.
Man, don't do it, man. Oh my God.
18?
18. 18.
So wait a minute. You mean to tell me there's 14 teams that are worse than us?
Yes.
I really don't. Where's Cassandra?
She's in the other room. She's in the other room. But listen, I can explain it.
Go ahead.
You're not gonna like it though. All right, so here we go. I became a Lions fan back in 2007 when Calvin Johnson got drafted out of Georgia Tech. If you listen to the show, you know that. I have lived through the Jim Schwartz era, the Jim Caldwell era, the Matt Patricia era, and now I'm in the Dan Campbell era. And there were moments in each of those eras where it looked like we finally had our shit together. And then what happened the minute that everybody started talking good about us? We fell off a cliff.
I didn't believe nothing with Quinn and Patricia. Hell no.
Bobby. Okay. To be fair, we were never out of the valley with Quinn and Patricia. All right. We were never out of the valley.
We said they wasn't doing nothing the day he got hired.
But we can't talk about the one common denominator, though. We're not going to talk about that. But let's go.
Caldwell had the team looking good. Schwartz at one point had the team looking good, and during that time frame, right after we drafted Sue, people were talking about us like, you give the Lions 2 years, man, they're going to win the Super Bowl. And what did we do with it? We didn't do anything.
Catch a Stafford infection? Oh, never mind. Whatever.
Listen. I'm not saying that he didn't have his part to play. I'm not saying that. That's not what this is about. What I'm saying,
I fuck with you, Elijah.
As a Lions fan, I got to see it. I got to see it before I actually believe it. I got to see consistency from my team like we had when we had Caldwell. And then I'll believe it. Right now, what scares the shit out of me is you got all these new guys in the secondary. And Nate will tell you, and I'll be shocked if he doesn't, secondary is not one of the easiest places on the field to develop chemistry and to know what each other is doing back there in a high pressure situation. That takes time to develop that. And while we have all these talented guys, and I'm sure they will get on the same page, how fast will they? And then you look at the injury bug. The injury bug bit us in the ass last year, which is why we started out with
it did. Especially in the secondary.
So for me, it's that same thing we talked about with the draft. Hype makes you do stupid shit. Right now, we have all the hype in the world. We went 9-8.
Elijah.
We went 9-8 last year, and you got people out there talking like we won the Super Bowl because we beat Green Bay and knocked them out of the playoffs. I'm not trying.
Everybody except Bobby.
I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I think we will be very good this year, but I got to see it. So for me, I'm saying 18 because if there's one thing in this league you can count on, the minute you start having success, give it an off season, and then everybody has all that tape on what made you successful, and they start coming up with answers to the problems you were giving them. Ben Johnson, year 2, officially year 2, because yes, he did come in back into year 1. But last year was his first year as a coordinator. Nobody really knew what to expect from him.
And his first couple games, he was not good.
And now they do know what to expect from him. So for me, I'm saying 18, hoping that I'm wrong, hoping that I'm dead wrong. But I have just seen this team.
You need to stop saying that because that's the part where all the fucking wheels fall off. Just say it. But every time you be like, oh, I hope I'm wrong. Carolina, fucking Geno Smith. Every time, I hope that I'm wrong. Philadelphia. Oh, if there's one game that we can lose, I hope that I'm wrong. We get wrong. We had a kicker who couldn't make a field goal in Minnesota. It goes to shit when you say, I hope that I'm wrong.
Okay, so I hope that I'm right. We'll see. We'll reverse.
No, man, that sounds worse.
But listen, I have to see it, because if you look at the Lions' history, one of the things that we don't like to talk about, but it's the truth, there are not very many years where you have back-to-back successful seasons. And it scares me how much love we're getting right now. That's not to say that I don't believe in Brad Holmes. That's not to say I don't believe in Dan Campbell, or that I don't believe in these players. I believe in them with everything I got.
You have to see it before you believe.
I have to see it before I fully give myself over to that. So
I got you. Okay.
That's great. I'm saying 18 right now until we start playing some games and I see something.
Okay.
I will say this, Elijah. I think I actually agree with you about the chemistry part, but I think that was why it was important to get guys that were veteran free agents than get youngsters in to back in from the draft. I think the fact that we got veterans from good defenses typically will help. First of all, you got to remember we got guys that we got another guy that knows Aaron Glenn's system personally. So we got a guy that's going to be able to implement the defense on the field with the men.
Yeah.
So he can be Aaron Glenn's
that was
eyes
huge.
and ears out there.
Yeah.
That was huge.
And on top of that, he's his safety IQ is pretty high. We still got Kirby Joseph, whose safety IQ is pretty high, and we still got Tracy Walker. So we got a lot more brain back there, if you get my drift, than we did.
I am so excited about the guys that we got. Like, just to piggyback off what Bobby just said, I am so excited about the guys that we got. My only question is how quickly do they gel together? And Nate, I really I know that this isn't where you were maybe going.
I know. This how we do. We freestyle.
But I mean, you've played cornerback before. That's my understanding. Yes. So please explain to people why it's not just go out there and pay the most money to get these guys. How there actually is a lot of development that needs to happen.
Well, this is also why it was very key to get veterans.
Right.
Cornerback, I have said this, cornerback is the hardest position to transition when you're talking about high school to college, from college to the NFL. A lot of people may think it's the quarterback. It is not. Your two hardest positions are your cornerback and your tight end. And when you're talking about chemistry at the cornerback position, you're talking about how people do this what is it, loyalty challenge or faith challenge, where they just close their eyes and fall. Mm-hmm. That's how you play in the secondary.
Right.
Because you trust that this guy is understanding the playbook as much as I am. So, hey, remember, we talked about how Aaron Glenn runs this 4-2-5, and we talk about how important it is for that safety to get deep. Mm-hmm. We talked about this, how it is imperative for that safety to have quickness so that he's able to drop back and cover that deep end. So the loss of Deshaun Elliott was so huge to me. It wasn't nobody else. Mm-hmm. Because of how imperative he was when it came to the development of Kirby Joseph, how he made Mike Hughes, who's never, ever played safety. Mike Hughes was a converted cornerback. And they moved him from corner to the rover position and had him at that line where Mike Hughes, in my opinion, had the best year he's had on the football field was under Aaron Glenn. This is also why Aaron Glenn was, interviewed for multiple head coaching positions. Mm-hmm. It's imperative, man. You talking about trusting. It's like when you let your kid go to school and you just go back to sleep. Hey, I trust when my kid goes out the door at 3:30, she's going to be coming back in it. That's trust.
Right.
And that's the way you trust in the secondary. You trust for these guys to have your back, which means everybody has to do their job accordingly. We see it so many times when they talk about miscommunications on the back end. Oh, blown coverages on the back end. It's never the front seven.
Right. Right.
It's never the front. It's never, oh my God, the linebacker forgot to pick up the running back out the backfield. It's never that. It's always the deep end guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is very, very imperative, but this is why I think it was very key to get a guy in Chauncey Gardner Jr. who
Johnson, you mean, right?
has been under Aaron Glenn. You know, he was with the Saints. Same thing with Alex Anzalone. Emmanuel Mosley. Emmanuel Mosley comes from a very, very strong defensive back room in San Francisco. So that's huge in itself. Cam Sutton, you know, very good DB room in Pittsburgh. You know, you got Micah Fitzpatrick back there. You got Joe Hayden. So, you know, he comes from a very good. To me, this is only going to make whether we draft a corner or if they choose to sign Jeff Okudah, this is going to be very, very good for him. Or it's going to be bad, where he just doesn't fit. He can't process what's going on. So when you have a DB room like this that's this good, oh man, your deficiencies are going to show.
Right.
Especially if everybody else is on their shit. It's going to show. So that's my take on it. But so our last segment on Inside the Den, y'all. This is, first of all, Elijah, can you read that quote from our esteemed coach that everybody loves regarding players with character issues?
Yes, I can. So this is what Dan Campbell had to say. It says, quote, "I do think that's possible, but without the core, you can't do it. You can't take a swing at one of those. But yeah, if you feel like your foundation is set, you can get away with one, maybe two, maybe." Campbell also mentioned that he talked with one of Carter's teammates at Georgia, and apparently that player told them things they didn't know and said it was interesting, asked if it was good or bad, and Dan Campbell just said it was interesting. So that's what Campbell had to say about drafting players with quote unquote, you know, character concerns. Go ahead, Nate.
Okay, so first of all, two-part question, Elijah. What if you were Brad Holmes, would you draft Jalen Carter if he's there at 6? Yes and no. Since why? And do you trust in our foundation?
Okay, so if Jalen Carter is there, I think he's talented enough where you almost say, I don't care what he did or what he's alleged to do. He's talented enough that we need that guy. He is a game-changing type player. I believe that, okay? We've also missed on game-changing players before because we said, oh, well, they're character issues, i.e. Aaron Donald. So for me, I would say that I have to take a hard look at it, but it's the buddy system in Detroit. If you draft Jalen Carter, his best friend needs to be Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson. And he does not go anywhere without Aleem McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson. And I say that because you have not heard, at least to my knowledge anyway, anything that Aiden Hutchinson has done off the football field or on it that has been questionable behavior. Same thing with Aleem McNeil. He's like one of the quietest defensive tackles. He does great things for our team, but you hardly ever hear about him. But I would say it's the buddy system. If you draft him, it's the buddy system until he can prove that he's got it and that he's going to be okay. And that's where Brad Holmes, I think, is one of the best GMs because he seems to actually care about his players. There was an interview that he did last offseason where they were talking about the success of St. Brown and the success of Sewell, as Bobby would say.
Well,
And he actually teared up during the interview, thinking about those guys he drafted. He cares about his guys. He cares about it. He understands it. He gets it. So if he drafts Jalen Carter, then again, you best believe he's going to be making sure this kid's making the right decisions. I mean, look at Jamison Williams. Now, Jamison Williams, to my knowledge, did not have character issues, but here's my point I'm making with this. Jamison Williams had money this offseason because he's a rookie, and that could have went sideways real quick for us, okay? And I'm not saying that as anything against Jamison because I don't know him, okay?
Right.
But I've seen a lot of guys go into the league who have injuries, who then say, well, I'm depressed because I'm not playing the game I love. I'm doing all this work and I can't actually get on the field. And they start supplementing it with other things to fill their time. And those other things ruin their life. We've seen that happen before, even with the Lions. So the fact that that didn't happen, I think is a credit to Jamison, obviously, for keeping himself out of trouble, but also a credit to this organization for showing that they can handle when a player is either hurt or they need a little bit of guidance. So I think if they draft him, I'm not going to bat an eye at it. I'm not going to be worried about it. Would I draft him? I would say yes, but it's got to be the buddy system. And this has been done before. One instance that I immediately think of is when Dez Bryant got drafted by the Cowboys. They actually had somebody on Dez Bryant 24/7 to make sure he didn't have any issues. And to my knowledge, he didn't. So.
Oh, he got into a fight with him.
Okay. But hey, if you get in a fight with the bodyguard, I said to be on you, then I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Just
he
don't-
got into
Bobby
a fight
would
with the
remember that.
bodyguard.
Bobby would
He got
remember
into
that.
a fight with the bodyguard.
But that's where I'm coming from. He is somebody who I do believe is that talented.
Mhm.
And I think if we draft him, Lions fans shouldn't bat an eye at it because Brad Holmes knows what he's doing. So that's what I think about it. And if Brad Holmes decides not to draft him,
You about to work?
we should not bat an eye at it because obviously they've done their homework. And I would be a little bit concerned about what did his teammates say, since Dan Campbell wasn't so willing to say what the teammates said. So we'll see. But Nate, that's what I got for you.
Okay.
Yeah. My take on it is this, man. And I don't want to sound like the inconsiderate guy, but it's really two things. The first thing I'm gonna say is when I was younger, my ass used to drive fast and got into dumb stuff doing the driving fast. So I'm not gonna be the first one to throw the stone at the kid. I feel no doubt. I feel he can get past it, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like it ain't nothing serious. But it ain't nothing to take him off my damn draft board for real. And secondly, too, in the grand, listen, not morality or none of that. We're gonna talk about legality. It's only misdemeanors. It's only misdemeanors. He ain't got no felonies or nothing. He's gonna probably do a year probation. So he's gonna already have that guy that you was talking about next to him. Like it's called the fucking court system. They're gonna be on his butt. And I just feel like it's only misdemeanors. I don't want to sit here and act insensitive about the people that died in his car crash. I mean, racing the car with the incident or whatnot. But I also don't want to sit here and act like he's some guy that just can't be trusted. You feel me? Similar to what Elijah was saying and Nate was saying. We got that, or what Dad Campbell said. We got a firm base of guys where he got not only we got the guys around him, we got former players that know what these damn players is going through, especially at that young point of time in the draft. So I think what the former player thing gonna kick in to help him. And I also think that the upstanding gentlemen that we do got on our team that play vicious football is gonna be also guys to help them change that mentality. It's nothing like feeling like it's not like once he get to the pros And I hope his mentality to change of more of a professional than a kiddie, because in college, in college it's big fish, small pond type of thing. And in Detroit, you got a role to play. You getting paid. This ain't nothing you doing for fun. This is a business. So I hope he can tie that tie up right. And let's go. You know what I mean? So it's a yes for me as far as Carter, and to all the people that acting like he's just such a bad guy. Shame on you. That's it.
So, Bobby, I just want to hop in with two quick things, Nate, before I toss it back to you. One thing, I was trying to remember the Raiders wide receiver who unfortunately had a very tragic incident occur.
Ruggs.
Henry
Henry
Ruggs.
Ruggs.
And I don't want to blame the Raiders organization for that, because I don't really know the whole background. I don't want to speak out of pocket about it. But when I saw that, as Bobby was talking, I'm going, we really need to make sure that, we take care of this guy, take care of him as a human being, make sure that he has that proper guidance, because as somebody who obviously he does have a history of driving fast, that's not out of pocket to say that. He's gotten tickets. Obviously he was in this incident. We just got to make sure to take care of the guy, because I would really hate to have a situation like what the Raiders had to deal with Henry Ruggs, who had all the promise in the world and literally threw it away. Which is a damn shame. So second thing that I'll say, he's got to take personal responsibility and make sure, like Bobby was just saying, do your job as a professional, because even though what he did in college will not get him immediately suspended in the NFL. So like we pick him, he's not going to miss any games because of an NFL suspension, because what he did was in college. But if he does make a mistake in the NFL, they will use what he did in college to prove a prior history of behavior.
Oh yeah, most
like
definitely.
they did with Joe Mixon, and then that could cause us issues. So again, Brad Holmes has already thought about this, folks. I promise you, they have already talked about this a bajillion times, and they probably already know whether or not they'll pick him if he goes there. Which, by the way, Carter's not taking any interviews with teams that have picks outside the top 10. So his agent must still believe, even after all that mess, he's going top 10. So Nate, back to you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, me personally, and I know a lot of people are going to talk about the tape and how he looked on the body cam. This is one of those things where, unfortunately, we try to stay away from, because we never want to be one of them shows that want to get, cross that line. But there is a difference when you're talking about a race thing, when you're talking about
a culture
thing when we're dealing with the police. It's very different. It is very different. And unfortunately, that is something that is still very prevalent in this country, and it makes people uncomfortable. It scares the hell out of some of us, and so you can look at it and you can take it and create your own thought process on it. But again, this is what we want to stick to. We want to stick to the facts. Is he a hell of a talent? Absolutely. If you draft him, does it improve the defense? Absolutely. Is he still a child or a teenager, a young man needing of guidance? Absolutely. Do I believe our locker room and our culture is able to get him where he needs to be to make sure that we don't have these Titus Young type things? Absolutely. So to me, it's a no-brainer, man. If Jalen Carter is there at 6, you draft Jalen Carter.
I see Dan Campbell calling him, getting on his nerves every fucking day.
Listen, they even said it, that he was getting on their nerves. Look at it. They like, dude, he's getting on my nerves. But I truly believe, because, one of the things that this is why the Lions have went so extensive. If people haven't paid attention to it, it's when you're dealing, these are also conversations that they have anyway. when you're dealing with prospects, you want to know the if, the ands, the but. If he gets hangnails, does he bite his toes or does he use a toenail clipper? You want to know. So I truly, truly believe that if the Lions do take Jalen Carter, yes, our culture and the foundation is strong enough to where we will not have any issues. I don't see where we have Titus Young type things going on. Dan Campbell is not Jim Schwartz, where you had the most penalized team in the league. He treats everybody like men. He conducts himself like a man. He gives them something to look up to. So, man, it's good. Bobby, like you wanted to say something, and then when you say what you're going to say, as soon as you say it, pass it to Elijah.
Hey, Swartz going to be trying to drive the damn car. Shit.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, go ahead, Elijah. Swartz going to want to drive. Fuck it, I'll drive this.
So I want to go back to the body cam footage, and you know me, I always like to add context where I can. So context for me, I have not seen this footage. Okay, so I don't want to speak ignorantly on it, but Nate had talked about how Jalen Carter could have been very afraid, and I think that's an honest human emotion to have. But I wanted to actually kind of infuse some of my own personal story here. So if I get a little choked up when I talk about this, bear with me because it's a little hard to talk about. But when I was little, my dad and my mom had a very heated and nasty custody battle over me. Okay. And what would happen, and again, I'm taking like years of history and I'm simplifying it because we'll be here all night. But what would happen is my biological mother would somehow convince police to come get me from my dad on like a Friday and arrest him on a Friday. So then he had to sit in jail until Monday before he could come get me, which gave her a head start to run away with me. One movie that's really near and dear to my heart because it's kind of similar to my situation is Kindergarten Cop. Except for my mom was the villain, not my dad. So anyway, for me as a kid, it would always be the same thing. It would always be, I'd hear it over the loudspeaker, you know, Elijah Winfrey to the principal's office. I'd go there, there'd be the cops there, and then they would take me to wherever my mother was, and then she would take me and go. And then whenever my dad was able to unravel the lies that my mom was saying, it would be the reverse. It would be the cops coming to arrest her and then taking me back to my dad. So this happened a ton of times throughout my childhood. And because of it, I am deathly afraid of cops and state troopers. Even though I am 29 years old, I haven't done anything for them to come get me. I'm still deathly afraid of them. And so when Nate was talking about that, you know, even though it is a different situation and a different reason that Jalen Carter would be afraid, and I get that, I fully understand that, I can somewhat empathize with maybe how he might have been feeling in that moment, you know, feeling scared. And I would just ask that we all be a little bit more tolerant whenever we're looking at folks who are, you know, also going through life. You know, we're all doing the best we can to have the best lives we can. And before folks say something ignorant about this kid, think about yourself. You know, maybe you haven't had the childhood that I had, or maybe you haven't experienced what Jalen was going through. But I guarantee you, when a cop pulls up behind you and flashes the lights, you get a little bit of anxiety, don't you? So
before that, as soon as I see him.
So I'm just saying, let's, you know, I would ask Lions fans especially, be a little bit more tolerant when you're talking about that, because if you don't, you sound ignorant. You sound like you've never been through anything. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to add. I hope that found you well. And like I said, that's just a little bit of me trying to, like I said, empathize with what Jalen might have been going through in that moment. Nate?
Man, that was very, this is, again, as we tell people, this is not your typical podcast. You know, we speak from the heart. We're very close. We share so much information. Y'all seen me. If y'all listen, our planning sessions, hell, I think I've cried more with these guys. You know, we've talked about, you know, things that went on with my dad and that big C word, you know, and this is what separates our show. And I truly, truly hope that everybody continues to, man, just stay with us because it's real. It's real life, it's real content, and we do this with love. It ain't like we getting paid, not yet. But as y'all know, this is just us. We are who we say we are. What you see is what you get. So, hey, man, that's all I got, man. And again, Eli, you know, hey, you're my brother, man. It touched my heart. So, again, a lot of people, you never know people's backstory.
Yeah.
Everything isn't as simple as black and white as a lot of people love to make it. But like you say, hey, like life ain't black and white. Everything, nothing is. So people just be mindful that everybody isn't raised the same. A lot of people aren't taught ways to process information and deal with scary situations. Scary situations can make or break a guy, and sometimes they can make you fold.
Right.
So, as Bobby said, hey, Jalen Carter, he unfortunately, a person did die. God rest their soul. But again, he was not charged with that. You know, that had nothing. Yes, he was out. He was being a kid driving too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I know some adults right now watching this that ain't even got no damn license and want to talk about stay away from them.
Right.
I bet you driving your license been suspended for 15 years.
Or they're watching the episode while they're driving, which they shouldn't be doing.
Right, which they shouldn't be doing. So, you know, Andy with that, man. And so we gonna go ahead and give it to our closer, man, and let him get us up out of here. Eli.
Just real quick, Bobby, before I wrap it up, did you have anything, my friend?
Oh no, man, Elijah. I just wanted to say, man, you got to be strong to grow up like you did, man. Like my parents, they weren't together, but believe it or not, my mom and my biological father, they're good friends. You know, always been. You know what I mean? So I could never experience what you've been thinking about, what you've been going through. But as far as being scared of the police, man, I go to work. I have to be at work 6 a.m. and I always see cops out there in the cuts and behind certain spots, wait for speeders and stuff. And I just thank God that I can just proceed to work undisturbed. But I always be wondering, like, you know what I mean? I'm out 5 a.m. I'm a black guy. They might not believe I'm gonna going to work. Just stop the fuck with me. So you're not the only one. I'm an honest, law-abiding citizen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Plates, my name, my car, everything legit. And the police get behind me, even if they trying to roll past me, I always get scared. So it ain't nothing that it's just something I come used to. Even like just because you're doing everything right, don't you know what I mean? So don't feel a certain way about that. And now I understand why you so understanding about a lot of situations that we talked about because you've been through something yourself. So that's all I wanted to say on it, brother.
And it's crazy because like me, 6'3", 240 pounds, I've always been a big guy, but not big. I always had some height, but and people say, hey, if you don't know me, I don't smile to people I don't know. So a lot of my face will come off as hostile.
Yeah.
Y'all know, man, the things we do with our show, like, I love with my heart. Whole completely. But I've had instances where I've been judged by police because of my height.
Oh, for sure.
B, because of the color. B, because I don't smile. Because I don't have the proper verbiage that they may like.
Right.
Because I'm
Comfortable with. Yeah, comfortable.
yeah, because I'm not smiling. You think I want to be aggressive, or I may have. Unfortunately, this is the thing when you're dealing with, the African American culture. There's a lot of stuttering. You grow up with that speech impediment. So a lot of times they look at you, they think that you're lying. Oh, well, you're not talking to me. Why are you stuttering? I've been stuttering my whole life.
Right.
And I'm scared, mother.
Right. Then I stutter more because I'm scared. So you take it as if, it's always so many different things. So I just want our fan base to think about that. Think about like, hey, he's still a kid, but his talent and what this team is building culture-wise. Anybody that does any type of like YMCA work, or have worked at camps and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, this is what you do. You become a mentor for troubled and misguided children. Hey, everybody's one decision away from being bad or worse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
good point, man.
So let's just keep it that way. And hey, go Lions. Eli, take it away, dog.
So I'll just close it by saying this. So obviously I talked about my situation a little bit. For me, and I say this kind of sarcastically, but I think the guys will get what I'm saying here. My favorite part, and again, I say that sarcastically, is when I have to interview the chief of police for the town that I live in on the radio, because I literally had to explain to him at one point, because he was like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Listen, you've never done anything to me, but I'm terrified of you, and here's why." And it was actually a really cool moment before he retired from being chief of police, because he understood. He was like, "Hey, I get it. I sympathize with your situation, and as long as you don't break the law, we're good." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, definitely not that."
No, see, I ain't going for that. I ain't going for that.
I said, I don't look good.
I ain't going for that.
I do not look good.
I ain't going for that. I ain't going for that one, Chief.
Bobby said, "Fuck the okie doke. I ain't happening."
Had me up in prison saying, "Hey, it's Garfield. He eats lasagna." No, fuck that. Anyway.
Man.
Anyway, everybody, be good to yourself. Be good to others. This has been the On the Hump podcast.
Wait a minute, one more time. We named my guy Nate. Well, not Patricia. This is
the known name is
not Patricia.
Okay, got it. So
sorry, Elijah.
For not Patricia, Bobby Bless, Nate Rucker, Reggie Funches, and myself, Elijah Winfrey, have yourself a good night. You deserve it. We'll talk to you soon right here on the On the Hump podcast. Go Lions.